Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And week 18 and the NFL regular season is in the books. It was a crazy, really good season, honestly, in my opinion. And that leads us up to the NFL playoffs. We got Wildcard weekend predictions and pick 'em here. We're continuing our regular season series into the postseason. It's been a crazy ride, Austin. And here we see our regular season pick 'em records as they came into a fold. Week 18 threw us both for a loop. Had our worst weeks of the season in week 18. I finished the year 127 and 83, Austin at 131 and 79. So I was able to close the gap by 3 games in the final week and ended up 4 games back of our Pick'em Wizard. That's a win for me. Austin, how does it feel to be the year 1 champion of Pick'em and predictions?
I really choked at the end. I'm not satisfied with how we finished. Could be better next year.
Yeah, he definitely is not happy there. Out of the 210 games that we predicted this year, he's probably not happy even if he went 209 and 1. So next year probably going to be a better year for him. If you're coming with us for the future, make sure you're subscribed, leave a like so that you don't miss out on future stuff for Austin's Pick'em, because going into next year, if you want to go flawless, he's the guy to follow. And for the postseason here, he's probably the one you want to follow as well. We're both 0-0, of course, heading into wildcard weekend here. And there's going to be a lot of fun, really good competitive games, good competitive football in this new playoff bracket, Austin, with these 7 seeds. It's a new, a little bit different thing here. We got 3 wildcard teams this weekend. So let's take a look at the actual bracket here at this point. Is there any games you want to highlight? Any seedings you want to talk about quick?
Yeah, it's surprising that the Titans were the 1 seed in the AFC this year. It's something I don't think a lot of us expected, especially with the fact that Derrick Henry was out for a good portion of the season.
Yeah, I think that's a great point there. And, even A.J. Brown missed some time. Julio Jones wasn't what I think the Titans expected to get from him, and yet they find themselves the 1 seed. They're going to be looking to make some noise for sure. For me, I think one thing I want to highlight is the NFC West. You see the 6 seed 49ers, 4 seed Rams, who won the NFC West, and then the 5 seed Cardinals. 3 teams in one division with 10 plus wins. That is crazy. So a lot of credit to them. Really, really tough division. Of course, it was a down year for the Seahawks, but they're a tough team as well, usually. So very impressive. And I think that that's the toughest division in football. Honestly, when you look at that division, having 3 playoff teams coming in to these playoffs. Number 1 seeds, Austin, you alluded to the Tennessee Titans earlier, and we've also got the Green Bay Packers at 13 and 4. These 2 teams have earned themselves bye weeks for the first week of the NFL playoffs. Talk about how big of a deal that is for playoff football.
Yeah, no, it gives your guys a good amount of rest there for that week. There's always the concern of, how are they going to look that following week? Got to knock off the rust a little bit just because you have that week off. But nevertheless, it's really, really good at this time of the year to have that extra week, especially since we had an extra game this year, just more time to accrue injuries with that extra game. But it's really, really good to get that relief.
Right. I think the Packers are one that's going to specifically be benefited by this. They got to rest their guys a little bit against the Detroit Lions, even though they lost because they had the luxury of locking up the 1 seed after week 17. So I know Aaron Rodgers did play a little bit in week 18, so did some of their other starters, but they are going to be more fresh than a lot of other teams by the time they actually have to play their first playoff matchup. Wildcard weekend now here, Austin. We got some really good games. We're going to get it started off with the AFC. So we're staying on the AFC side of the bracket here to start. And here we're going to start with the 5 seed Raiders and the 4 seed Bengals. The Raiders had just a phenomenal game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Arguably the game of the year, ended with Daniel Carlson knocking in his 5th field goal of the game. And there's a lot of controversy from that one. We're not going to get too much into that on if the Raiders would have kneeled out that game. We're not going to spend too much time talking about that. However, one thing I think that does stand out here is this Raiders defense is probably going to be exhausted coming into this matchup. A week from today. They've got a lot of stuff to work on in terms of trying to catch up, also get some film study in, and get ready for the Bengals. And the Bengals, I think, are going to be a little bit better rested. They got to rest some of their guys coming into this one. And that's why I think we both went with the Bengals, Austin. Not to mention, I think the Bengals are just more talented. What's a few keys to this game for you?
Yeah, I think the Raiders are going to be absolutely gassed after that really emotional win over the Chargers. When you look at the Cincinnati team, they're best suited to play a team like the Raiders. A weaker secondary for the Raiders, really opening up the door for the Cincinnati Bengals to have a big game through the air. I feel a lot of people are going to be picking the Bengals. I think that's the right pick. They're at home. They're facing a team that's going to be super gassed. Cincinnati was able to rest up a lot of their starters against the Browns in that Week 18. So you're looking at a tale of two different level of fatigues.
You're right. And I think you nailed it with some of your evaluation there. I want to draw one thing you said about home field. So Cincinnati, obviously playing in Cincinnati there, how important is it for a team to have a higher seeding throughout the playoff and get to play their games at home? The game that comes to my mind was a few years back when the Vikings had to go into Lincoln Financial Field back in 2017, I believe it was, and they ended up losing. Does that kind of ring a bell for you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example, but it all depends on that home field. There's different levels to it, especially when it's outdoors and you're a team in the north getting to play a team in the south when they got to come to you. It makes a tremendous difference. And I think that's where Green Bay, if a team like the Rams were to come in and play them, it's just a different story. Arizona as well. Tough to play at Lambeau. We'll get more on the Green Bay side of things a little later on. But if you are the Bengals and you get a cold weather game, they are at an advantage for sure, considering the Raiders play inside.
Right. I think that definitely does come into play here. And the Bengals have a little bit of an advantage in that regard. Bengals are our picks for this week. Patriots at Bills here, and we actually decided to go against home field here. We're not picking the Orchard Park Bills. Instead, we're going with the seasoned New England Patriots. Bill Belichick, he's been here. He's done it. For me, he's going to make the Bills' life terrible. I just feel like the Bills are going to have a lot of difficulties moving the football against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. J.C. Jackson's been great this year. He's going to live up to the hype of matching up with Stephon Diggs. I'm sure that's going to be the big matchup for this game, the one you have to watch for. Austin, does J.C. Jackson win that matchup for you, and how important is it?
Yeah, I think he does win that matchup. And Bill Belichick really makes it tough on division opponents because he gets to see them so often. And he's one of the best adjusters in the entire league in terms of what he sees on the field and what he brings into, a halftime. And especially week to week, he is phenomenal in his preparation. This team, the Bills offensively, should be better than New England just when you look at it on paper with the quarterback, with the star receiver. But I have this weird feeling that New England's just going to effectively run the ball against this good Bills defense, nevertheless. But they're going to make it tough on Josh Allen, maybe force a couple of errors that you might not be anticipating.
I think the one thing too here is you're looking at a Bills team that's really strong up the middle right now. Good safety play, solid linebacker play. But Tre'Davious White being out really does hurt you when it comes to playoff football. That's your number one corner. And I think the Patriots are going to find ways to take advantage of that as well. They're a little thin. Can Levi Wallace stand the test? I think that's going to be what you have to watch for if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but New England, they've been here. They've done it. Even with a rookie QB, I'm confident Bill Belichick gets the win on the road. Steelers at Chiefs, the 7 seed going into Kansas City. And this seems like a nightmare. If you're the 7 seed, I'm sure you were not hoping to have to see Kansas City in that first game. You're going to go into Arrowhead, and you're going to be met with a task that I think the Steelers offense just can't hold up to. The Steelers, at times this year, it's been hard watching them move the football, and Kansas City, generically the opposite. They move the football with ease. Travis Kelce's a beast. Tyreek Hill does what he wants on the outside, really good off the line of scrimmage. Is this game going to be competitive, Austin?
I think it's going to be more competitive than people give him credit for. I think the big reason why it will be is because of TJ Watt and his ability to get after the quarterback. It could really make things difficult for Patrick Mahomes. Mike Tomlin's a phenomenal coach. He's good in the postseason. So therefore, I think I'm going to give them a little more leeway or of a chance to stay somewhat competitive. But I think at the end of the day, the Chiefs are just going to be too much to handle for Pittsburgh. Nightmare matchup for the Steelers. However, they're just extremely happy to be here, having to rely on a Jacksonville win in order to really propel them to the postseason.
Yeah, that Jacksonville win was magical, Austin. They continue their streak of beating Indianapolis in Jacksonville. And then they also needed a non-tie between the Chargers and Raiders, and it almost did happen. They almost did tie. Steelers very happy to be in the postseason. They've got to quickly shift their focus, though, to the Kansas City Chiefs to have a chance in this one. It'll be a fun matchup for sure. NFC Wildcard here now. Again, 3 more games this week and some really, really good teams at that. They've got a lot of talent on the field here. So Eagles at Buccaneers. The Eagles, they've got to be one of the most pleased teams in the NFL when you consider that they have the Colts pick. They also have the Dolphins pick, 2 teams that just barely missed the playoffs out in the AFC. And then the Eagles smiling big. Howie Roseman probably so happy being the 7 seed in the NFC, making the playoffs. Their pick out of those 3 is the worst pick It's the lowest one. Who would have thought that coming into the season? They go up against the Buccaneers, though, and some of that magic for Philadelphia probably runs out this week for me. I think the Buccaneers too good. They're tested last year, showed what they are. For me, though, the Eagles, there's probably not a better time to be going up against the Buccaneers. Mike Evans got shook up in their Week 18 matchup a little bit. Of course, Cyril Grayson went down as well. Austin, I know you're a big fan of his. Antonio Brown's no longer with the Buccaneers, and also no Godwin. Buccaneers are beat up a little bit. Do the Eagles have a shot?
Yeah, I mean, I think they do have a shot in it, but it's not a realistic one. I mean, where they could be, I mean, if Mike Evans is truly hurt for that game and doesn't, isn't as effective as he normally is, I mean, then the Bucs become a little one-dimensional, relying on the run, which you have Leonard Fournette, who is currently on IR. I'm not exactly sure his status for the postseason, but if he's not able to go either, I mean, this opens up the door wide for the Eagles to have a chance in it. I still think the Buccaneers get it done. Tom Brady's great in the postseason. If there's a will, there's a way with him. And we've seen a lot of guys arise in the postseason, whether it's been at his time in New England or even his time in Tampa.
The one thing I'm going to say, NFC East has posed some problems for Tom Brady in the past. Even last year, Washington football team with Taylor Heineke did play them pretty competitively. And then you also look back historically, the Giants, 2-time Super Bowl champs over Tom Brady, and then the Eagles, a 1-time Super Bowl champ over Tom Brady. Maybe the NFC East has enough magic in it to get it done, but I'm betting on the Buccaneers. 49ers at Cowboys here. This is a 6 seed going into a 3 seed here in Dallas. And for me, I actually opted for the 49ers here. I'm picking the road team. I'm picking the upset here because I think the 49ers have enough to try and take advantage of some of Dallas's weaknesses. I think that their defensive line is going to be really good. I think they're going to make a lot of plays. I've got some question marks about their cornerbacks for sure. If I'm San Francisco, I'm a little hesitant on that. But Deebo Samuel is such a weapon. You can get him the ball in so many different ways. And I'm concerned about Trayvon Diggs and his tendency to give up bigger plays and also a collection of good yardage. Deebo Samuel has been really, really good this year. I believe he also has 8 rushing touchdowns. So he's dynamic. For me, he's going to be a problem. Why'd you go for the Cowboys?
I think the Cowboys are just a lot to handle when they're on offense. They have so many different looks and weapons that they can throw at you. CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard's really come on this season. Amari Cooper is another weapon. And Dalton Schultz has been a pleasant surprise for this team, becoming a very, very viable passing option. And looking at what they have defensively, they have a good defense. And this is not something we've been able to say over the last couple of seasons. I mean, they've played very, very well under Dan Quinn. And this offensive unit is just a mass destruction. Kellen Moore's done a great job play calling wise, and they're just so tough to stop with that mass amount of weapons.
Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn, 2 of the top head coaching candidates to watch for this offseason, have definitely had good effects on this Dallas Cowboys team. I think it's going to be a close game. 49ers, I have barely winning. Cowboys, though, they've been great all season long, and I would not be surprised if they do pull it out themselves. This is going to be a really good matchup in the wild card round, which leads us to our last one here. And this is one that we got to see twice this year already. The number 5 seed Cardinals going in to the 4 seed Rams. And this is a lot on the line here. Of course, when you're talking about 2 interdivision rivals getting to face off, they know each other pretty well. And I think the thing for me is, do the Cardinals have enough in the secondary to slow down Cooper Kupp, who has been phenomenal? Of course, the Triple Crown winner this year for the NFL, led the NFL in catches, receiving yards, and also receiving touchdowns. Austin, I believe he's only the 4th player to ever do that. Do the Cardinals have an answer for him?
I don't think they do, and that's part of the reason I also picked the Rams. I think the Rams are going to, run the ball effectively as well in this one. With the addition really of Cam Akers back, I think that's going to help them out. Darrell Henderson should see some looks as well, but it's really tough to stop Cooper Kupp, and that's where the Cardinals, it doesn't really matter. Teams have tried to key in on it, and it's just too tough. I'd like to see OBJ have a big day as well. I think it's very, very possible. But Kyler Murray in this Cardinals team, they've been magical. They've been doubted for a lot of the season. They're just not playing their best football right now, which maybe they're able to kind of spark that and turn it around. But I just think the Rams are a better football team heading into this week.
Right. I'm really glad you brought up that they're not playing their best football right now. Had this started in week 11, we probably would have picked the Cardinals based off the run they had been on. However, at this point, they haven't been playing as good as the Rams have been. Honestly, the Cardinals had run away with that division and let it slip, and the Rams now have the higher seed. They get this game at home, and I think that's going to be the difference here. I have the Rams winning at SoFi Stadium. I think it's going to be a good matchup. Cardinals fans, nothing to hang your head to, because it's been a really good season and a really good run. The future is really bright with Kyler Murray. And those are the 6 games this week. So let us know in the comment section what you think's going to go down in Wildcard Weekend. Of course, it's playoff football. Anything can happen. These are just our best thoughts, pick 'em, and prediction for the wildcard round. Again, hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you are new to Utility Sports, and we'll catch you in our future content. Thanks, guys, so much.